Gentlemen, let me start with something that may shock you. Every single morning across America, millions of men over 60 pour themselves a cup of coffee, sip it down, and unknowingly waste the most powerful opportunity they have to bring their manhood back to life. Yes, I'm talking about stronger, longer-lasting erections, even if you are well into your 70s or 80s. What if the very cup you've been drinking for decades could either keep you weak or help you feel like yourself again? My name is Dr. Adewale Morgan. I am a urologist and men's health specialist with over 30 years of clinical experience across 2 continents. I have dedicated my life to helping men reclaim their strength, vitality, and confidence, not just through medicine, but through understanding the deeper wisdom that nature and science share. I have sat across from thousands of men in my practice who believed their best days were permanently behind them. And time after time, I have guided them towards solutions that completely changed the trajectory of their lives. Here's the surprising truth. Most men think performance decline is inevitable. They blame age, stress, or bad luck. But the real paradox is this. While so many men look to pills, surgeries, or expensive treatments, some of the most powerful answers are already sitting right there in their kitchen. And here is my promise to you. Add just one simple natural ingredient to your coffee, and you can dramatically improve blood flow, boost testosterone, and restore erections in a way that feels natural, safe, and lasting. This isn't theory. It's science proven by research and decades of results in real men I have treated with my own hands. So stay with me, because in just a moment I'm going to reveal exactly what to stir into your morning cup and why it can reignite your body's performance even at 80 years old. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future guidance on men's health and vitality. And I'd love to hear from you. If this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0, and let me know how I can make these conversations more useful for you. Now, let's dive into the real reason so many men over 60 struggle with weaker erections. It's not just age, it's what's happening deep inside your body. To truly fix the problem, we must first understand why erections fade as the years go by and what's quietly reshaping your biology. 1. Why erections fade with age. When I sit across from men in my office, one of the first things they often ask me is, "Dr. Morgan, why is this happening to me? Why, after all these years, do I suddenly struggle with something that used to feel so natural?" And I always tell them the same thing. It isn't sudden. It has been building slowly inside your body for decades. By the time you reach 60, 2 critical shifts are already well underway. First, your testosterone, the very hormone that fuels a man's energy, drive, and ability to perform, has dropped nearly in half compared to what it was in your 20s. Second, the blood vessels that carry life-giving circulation to your heart, your brain, and yes, to your penis, have stiffened with age. They aren't as flexible or as responsive as they used to be. And that makes all the difference. Think about it like this. When you were younger, your body worked like a high-pressure garden hose. The water rushed through quickly and powerfully, filling every corner with force. Erections came easily because blood flow was strong and your tissues were responsive. But as you age, that hose becomes worn, stiff, and leaky. The water trickles instead of rushing, and the result is weaker, shorter-lasting erections, or sometimes nothing at all. This isn't about willpower or desire. This is biology. And here's the part most men never hear. Once those vessels narrow and testosterone falls, the body begins a cycle of decline. Less testosterone leads to less energy and muscle mass. Less blood flow leads to weaker erections. And over time, a man can start to feel like a shadow of who he once was. I remember one patient in particular, a 67-year-old grandfather who came to see me. He sat in the chair quietly for a long time, then looked me in the eye and said, "Dr. Morgan, I just don't feel like a man anymore." And I could see that this wasn't only about sex. It was about identity, about confidence, about the inner spark that makes you feel alive and purposeful each morning. That pain is real, and it is far more common than most men will ever admit. And yet, what I told him, and what I will tell you now, is that biology can be influenced. Decline is not destiny. Your body still possesses a remarkable capacity to respond when given the right fuel and the right support. The good news is that you don't need a prescription to start shifting things back in your favor. The very cup of coffee you drink each morning can be transformed into a tool for restoring circulation and supporting your hormones. By adding the right natural ingredients, you can help those stiff vessels relax, open up blood flow, and give your body what it needs to feel strong again. It's simple, it's natural, and it works even if you're well into your 70s or 80s. So now that you understand why erections fade with age, let me show you how something as ordinary as your morning coffee can become extraordinary when you unlock its hidden potential. 2. Coffee, the hidden potential. Every morning, men across this country pour themselves a cup of coffee without giving it a second thought. For many of us, it's almost automatic. The smell of those fresh grounds, the steam rising from the cup, the first sip that jolts you awake. It feels like a daily ritual that keeps us going. I've had men tell me, "Dr. Morgan, I could give up almost anything, but not my coffee." And I always smile, because I understand completely. I start my day the very same way. Coffee wakes up the brain, sharpens focus, and gives us that sense of energy we've relied on for decades. But here's what most men don't realize. Coffee as it is only does half the job. Yes, caffeine increases circulation temporarily. Yes, it can give you that mental edge. But plain coffee alone is like stepping on the gas pedal of a car that hasn't been tuned in years. You'll get a quick burst of speed, sure, but you'll burn out quickly, and the underlying engine problems remain unaddressed. That's why so many men find themselves reaching for a second cup by mid-morning and a third by afternoon, chasing an energy that never truly lasts. The truth is, black coffee by itself is like regular fuel in a high-performance engine. It works, but it does not give you the premium performance your body now demands as you age. And here is the paradox that most men miss entirely. Coffee could be so much more. With just a simple, deliberate addition, that same cup could go from a quick wake-up call to a powerful health tool that supports your blood vessels, protects your heart, and fuels your erections. Think about that for a moment. The very drink you already enjoy every morning could be transformed into a natural, science-backed solution for one of the most frustrating challenges men face after 60. That's not fantasy. That's real physiology waiting to be unlocked. I've seen it firsthand with my patients. One man in his 70s told me that after years of struggling, he began adding just one natural ingredient to his morning coffee. Within weeks, his energy stabilized and his confidence returned in the bedroom. He wasn't jittery anymore. He wasn't crashing by midday. He felt more in control of his body. That simple change gave him hope again, and it reminded me that the smallest adjustments often create the most significant transformations. Coffee doesn't have to be just a habit. It can be a vehicle for healing and restoration. It's familiar, it's affordable, and it's already in your life. All it takes is knowing what to add so that it becomes more than a beverage. It becomes a partner in your health, your strength, and your manhood. And the best part? You don't have to wait months or years to begin seeing the difference. Now, let's uncover the very first ingredient that can turn your ordinary cup of coffee into extraordinary fuel for your body and your erections. 3. Ingredient number 1. Cinnamon, the vessel healer. When I think back to my childhood, I can still recall the warm scent of cinnamon drifting through the kitchen. It was a spice tied to family, comfort, and celebration. For many of us, cinnamon carries memories of good food and good times. But what most men don't realize is that this familiar spice carries a remarkable hidden power. One that can protect your blood vessels, stabilize your energy, and even restore your ability to achieve strong, lasting erections. Here's why it matters so deeply. As we age, one of the greatest silent enemies of men's health is unstable blood sugar. Every spike and crash in blood sugar gradually damages the tiny blood vessels throughout your body. And the smallest, most delicate vessels, the ones inside the penis, are often the first to suffer. These vessels are thinner than a human hair, and when they're damaged, circulation weakens in that area long before you ever notice trouble in your larger arteries. This is precisely why men with blood sugar irregularities often experience erectile problems years before any formal diagnosis. Cinnamon steps in like a guardian. Research has shown it can lower fasting blood sugar by as much as 20 to 30%. And that single effect protects those delicate vessels that are central to your manhood. But cinnamon does even more. It helps your blood vessels relax and open through a process called vasodilation. The active compound cinnamaldehyde actually boosts nitric oxide, the very same molecule that prescription drugs like Viagra are designed to target. When nitric oxide increases, blood flow improves. And when blood flow improves, erections become stronger, fuller, and far more dependable. I've had patients tell me that after just a few weeks of adding cinnamon to their morning coffee, they notice steadier energy throughout the day and a real difference in the bedroom. One man, a retired contractor in his late 50s, told me he went from needing an afternoon nap to powering through his projects with a steady hand and a clear head. The beauty of cinnamon is its simplicity. A quarter teaspoon stirred into your coffee is enough to set this process in motion. The key is consistency, making it part of your daily ritual so your vessels stay protected, your energy stays stable, and your confidence begins to return. Cinnamon is more than a spice. It is a daily act of self-respect that tastes good, costs almost nothing, and carries both centuries of wisdom and modern scientific proof. Now imagine combining that with another ingredient that doesn't just support blood flow, but flips the master switch for erections inside your body. 4. Ingredient number 2. Cocoa, nature's nitric oxide switch. There is something almost universal about the comfort of chocolate. That rich, slightly bitter taste carries warmth and familiarity. But here's the truth many men never realize. Beneath that familiar flavor lies a remarkable secret. Pure, unsweetened cocoa, dark, rich, and untouched by added sugar, is one of nature's most powerful tools for restoring blood flow and reviving erections. Cocoa is loaded with flavonoids, compounds that act directly on the lining of your blood vessels. These flavonoids trigger the release of nitric oxide, which is the single most important molecule when it comes to achieving and maintaining erections. Think of nitric oxide as the signal your arteries are waiting for. When levels are high, blood vessels expand wide, circulation increases, and blood flows into the penis with ease. When levels are low, vessels stay stiff and narrow, and no matter how much desire you carry, the body simply cannot respond the way you want it to. This is the exact biological pathway targeted by medications, but cocoa allows you to encourage that same response naturally, without side effects, without cost, and without a prescription. I remember a patient in his early 70s, a man who had nearly given up on intimacy entirely. He came to me tired, embarrassed, and barely willing to speak about his struggles. I suggested he begin adding a teaspoon of raw cocoa powder to his morning coffee. 1 month later, he returned with a smile I will never forget. "Dr. Morgan," he said, "it feels like someone flipped a switch inside me." That is exactly what nitric oxide does. It flips the master switch that powers erections, and cocoa is one of the simplest, safest ways to increase it. But cocoa offers more than physical benefits. It contains compounds that lift mood: anandamide, sometimes called the bliss molecule, and phenylethylamine, the same chemical released when we fall in love. Men often underestimate how powerfully the mind influences performance. When you feel calmer, more positive, and more connected, your body follows. Add to that the magnesium found abundantly in cocoa, which supports testosterone production and muscle function, and you begin to see why this simple addition is so effective. The taste itself transforms your coffee into something special, a rich mocha-like experience without the sugar spike. If the bitterness feels too strong at first, soften it with a drop of stevia or monk fruit. The point is, you're giving your body the signal to wake up, to open the pathways that have been narrowing with age, and to fuel your masculinity at its very core. 5. Ingredient number 3. Maca, the Andean secret. High in the thin, cold air of the Andes Mountains grows a humble root that has been cherished for centuries. That root is maca, and in Peru, it is spoken of with reverence. They call it nature's Viagra, not because it works like a pill, but because it awakens something deeper inside the male body. When I first studied maca, I was struck by the fact that a plant growing at nearly 14,000 feet, in soil where almost nothing else survives, could carry such extraordinary strength and resilience. And when I began recommending it to my patients, I saw those same qualities reflected back in the men who used it. Maca doesn't force your body to respond. It reminds it of what it already knows how to do. Unlike synthetic drugs that push blood flow for a few hours, maca works by supporting the delicate balance of your hormones. It communicates with the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, the master controllers of your endocrine system, and helps restore a natural hormonal rhythm. Testosterone can begin to rise again. Energy returns, and desire, long dormant, begins to resurface. I have seen men in their 60s and 70s describe the feeling not as a sudden jolt, but as a steady flame being rekindled week by week. The research supports this clearly. In one study, men who took approximately 2.4 grams of maca daily, roughly a teaspoon, reported significant improvements in sexual desire and performance after just 12 weeks. Another study found higher sperm count and motility, clear signs that the body's reproductive engine was running more smoothly. But perhaps the most striking observation is how many men report not just physical benefits, but mental clarity, sharper focus, and a genuine lift in mood. One of my patients, a retired engineer, told me, "Dr. Morgan, it feels like someone turned the lights back on in my head." That is the kind of change that makes life fuller, not just in the bedroom, but in every room. Maca comes in different varieties. Yellow maca is the most common, with a mild flavor and a gentle effect. Red maca is often praised for supporting prostate health, something every man over 60 should consider carefully. And black maca is considered the powerhouse, boosting stamina and energy most noticeably. Stirring just a teaspoon into your coffee adds a nutty, slightly malty flavor that pairs beautifully with cocoa. What I find most compelling about maca is that it is an adaptogen, meaning it helps your body handle stress, rather than pushing it artificially in one direction. In a world where men over 60 face constant pressures, from health, family, and responsibility, that kind of steady support is invaluable. 6. Ingredient number 4. Coconut oil or MCT oil, the hormone fuel. For years, men were told to fear fat. Low-fat diets were marketed as the key to health, and whole generations grew up avoiding butter, oils, and anything rich. But here is the irony that most men have never been told. Testosterone, the very hormone that makes a man feel alive, is built from fats and cholesterol. Without them, your body is starved of the raw materials it needs to keep you strong, vibrant, and sexually capable. This is why I often explain to my patients that adding a spoonful of coconut oil to their morning coffee can be one of the most straightforward ways to fuel their masculinity. Coconut oil is rich in medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs. Unlike the long-chain fats found in most foods, MCTs travel straight to the liver, where they are quickly converted into clean, efficient energy. They don't clog the system. They burn fast and fuel the body almost immediately. Studies have shown that men who consume MCTs can see testosterone levels rise by as much as 20% compared to those consuming other types of fat. With stronger testosterone comes better energy, more stable mood, and improved performance in every sense of the word. I recall a man in his late 60s who came into my office completely exhausted. He was still working part-time, still carrying real responsibilities, but he said he felt like he was dragging himself through every single day. I encouraged him to try coffee blended with coconut oil, what some refer to as bulletproof coffee. A month later, he returned looking noticeably different. His energy was steady throughout the morning. He no longer crashed after breakfast, and he mentioned quietly that intimacy with his wife had become easier again. Blending the oil into hot coffee creates a creamy, latte-like texture that is rich and satisfying. The fat slows the absorption of caffeine, so instead of a sudden spike and inevitable crash, you get a smooth, sustained release of energy over hours. Some men prefer pure MCT oil, which is even more concentrated. Others start with half a teaspoon of coconut oil and build from there to allow digestion to adjust. Either way, you are supplying your body with the very building blocks it needs to keep testosterone production alive and working for you. 7. Ingredient number 5. Ginger, the circulation booster. There is something unforgettable about the sharp, warming bite of fresh ginger. Beyond flavor and comfort, ginger has been treasured for thousands of years in traditional medicine across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. And modern science now confirms what our ancestors already understood. Ginger has the power to open blood vessels, calm inflammation, and boost testosterone. For a man over 60, this translates directly into more circulation, more energy, and stronger erections. Ginger works through multiple mechanisms. First, it improves blood flow. Its active compounds, gingerols and shogalls, relax blood vessel walls, allowing them to open wider. When blood moves freely, your heart, brain, and your manhood all benefit. That warmth you feel after consuming ginger is not just a sensation. It is your blood moving more efficiently through your entire body. But the real surprise is how ginger protects testosterone production at its source. The testicles where testosterone is made are vulnerable to heat, toxins, and oxidative stress. Over time, those stressors wear down the very cells responsible for hormone production. Ginger shields them. Research shows that daily ginger intake can raise testosterone levels significantly, in one study by nearly 18% after just 3 months. It achieves this by increasing luteinizing hormone, the messenger that instructs your testicles to produce more testosterone, while simultaneously reducing the oxidative stress that slowly undermines their function. I recall a quiet, determined patient in his mid-60s who had tried nearly every supplement available with little lasting success. I suggested he try adding fresh ginger slices to his morning coffee, or a quarter teaspoon of ginger powder for convenience. When he returned weeks later, his handshake was firmer, his posture taller. He said, "Dr. Morgan, I feel warmer, stronger, more awake." And my wife noticed before I even did. That moment stays with me, because it illustrates how powerfully small daily choices ripple outward into every area of a man's life. Fresh ginger delivers volatile oils that provide an immediate circulation boost, while powdered ginger contains more concentrated compounds for long-term benefits. Either works. Both are affordable, safe, and trusted across thousands of years of medicine. 8. How to put it all together without overcomplicating your life. Now that we've walked through each of these powerful ingredients, I want to address the thought many men have at this point. You might be thinking, "Dr. Morgan, this sounds valuable, but am I supposed to transform my kitchen into a laboratory every morning?" And my honest answer is no. The beauty of these natural tools is that they don't require complicated steps or expensive equipment. What they require is consistency. The first thing I tell men is to start small. Choose one ingredient. Cinnamon is the easiest entry point. A quarter teaspoon stirred into your morning coffee takes seconds, but the impact compounds day after day. Once you feel comfortable, layer in cocoa. Suddenly, your coffee is actively fueling nitric oxide and improving blood flow. Week by week, as you add maca or coconut oil, you build a cup that doesn't just energize your morning, it fuels your body and your masculinity for the long run. One patient of mine in his 70s started with just cinnamon. After 2 weeks, he added cocoa. A month later, he introduced maca 3 times a week. By the end of the second month, he told me, "Dr. Morgan, I haven't felt this steady in years. My energy, my focus, my performance, it's all coming back." That is the power of layering, and it doesn't have to feel overwhelming. You don't need all 5 ingredients every single day. Instead, think of it as building your personal formula. Some mornings, cinnamon and cocoa. Other days, maca and ginger. And when you have a little more time, blend coffee with coconut oil, cinnamon, cocoa, and ginger to create a rich, creamy drink that nourishes your body in ways ordinary coffee never could. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And when you give your body time to adjust, you'll notice steady changes. Better mornings, stronger energy, clearer thinking, and yes, firmer erections. Remember, you don't have to accept decline as normal aging. These small daily choices can turn your morning routine into one of the most powerful health practices of your life. Neuropra 9. Why this matters beyond erections. When we talk about erections, it can sound as though the only goal is performance in the bedroom. But let me tell you something I've observed across 3 decades of working with men. This is about far more than sex. Erections are the body's report card. They reflect the health of your blood vessels, your heart, your hormones, and your brain. When they fade, it's rarely only about desire. It's often the first signal that circulation is slowing, that energy is declining, and that your body is quietly asking for support. I remember a patient in his late 60s who came in looking utterly defeated. He said, Dr. Morgan, it's not just that I can't perform. It's that I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't feel strong. I don't feel confident. And I understood exactly what he meant. Because for men, masculinity isn't only physical. It's emotional. It's about waking up with purpose, feeling capable of protecting the people you love, knowing that you still have vitality and strength to offer. When those feelings slip away, life loses a piece of its color. That's why adding cinnamon, cocoa, maca, coconut oil, and ginger to your daily coffee isn't just about restoring erections. It's about reminding yourself that you are still capable of growth, strength, and renewal. These ingredients don't just open blood vessels. They open doors to better energy, sharper focus, and a deeper sense of connection with the people who matter most to you. When a man feels stronger in his body, he carries himself differently. He laughs more easily. He faces challenges with more conviction. And he rediscovers the joy of intimacy without fear or hesitation. I've watched men who were completely certain their best years were behind them transform entirely once they realize that decline is not a sentence, it's a signal, and signals can be answered. Your morning coffee becomes a daily reminder that you are not powerless, that small choices made consistently create enormous changes over time, and perhaps most importantly, it becomes a ritual of self-respect, a quiet declaration to your body and your mind. I still matter, and I'm not finished yet. 10. Conclusion. Small daily choices, big lasting results. Gentlemen, we've walked a significant road together in this conversation. We started with the truth that plain coffee alone won't restore what time has slowly taken away. But by adding just a few natural science-backed ingredients, cinnamon, cocoa, maca, coconut oil, and ginger, you can transform your morning cup into something far more powerful than a beverage. Each of these ingredients is more than flavor. They are fuel. Cinnamon steadies your blood sugar and protects those delicate vessels. Cocoa flips the nitric oxide switch that governs blood flow. Maca speaks directly to your hormones, gently restoring their natural rhythm. Coconut oil fuels testosterone production by providing the very building blocks your body requires. And ginger ignites the fire of circulation while defending the glands that keep you strong. This isn't about quick fixes or empty promises. It's about respect. Respect for your body, respect for your health, and respect for the years you have earned. I've guided countless men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s to discover that strength, energy, and yes, erections can return when they commit to small, deliberate daily changes. It is not the dramatic overnight miracle that so many advertisements promise. Instead, it is a steady, reliable rebuilding of vitality, one morning at a time. And in my experience as a physician, that kind of change is the most powerful kind, because it lasts. I'll be honest with you. I find this work deeply meaningful. Because when a man tells me he feels like himself again, that he's laughing more, working with more purpose, or reaching for his wife's hand with a new confidence, I know we have done something far greater than treat a symptom. We have helped him reclaim a piece of his life. And isn't that what we are all after? To feel alive, connected, and fully capable no matter how many years we carry. So here is my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning, when you pour that cup of coffee, remember everything we've discussed. Start with just one ingredient. Give it a few weeks. Watch how your body responds. Then add another. Build your own formula, one that honors your unique journey and your individual needs. Because your body is still capable of remarkable things. It simply needs the right fuel, the right consistency, and the right belief that you are worth the effort. Stay disciplined, stay patient, and stay hopeful. Gentlemen, you are not done yet. Your best days can absolutely still lie ahead of you. And it all begins with that one simple, powerful choice in your morning cup.